Chappa, probably one of the great athletes to come out of not only Staples, to come out of Westport.
Dad was recognized as one of the all-time best in the community, in the area. He was inducted in the first Hall of Fame or Wall of Fame football.
First, then went on to start the golf program. Started the golf program at Staples, and attained great success. I believe he had 4 state championships, several, at least 4, maybe a few more undefeated teams, but I know he had 4 state championships.
It was May of 1969. Big Mike Chappa was playing a round of golf with his son. Suddenly had a fatal heart attack and collapsed on the 16th green at Longshore. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. 2 men who he thought so highly of, Joe Foligno and Frank Dornfeld, decided to give Big Coach Chappa the ultimate honor.
I guess it would have been 13 months later. That was May of '69. In June of 1970, Joe Foligno started the Mike Chappa Tournament in his honor.
The Chappa was always the pinnacle of all our golf tournaments throughout the year. It's the biggest high school tournament, from what I understand, in the nation. It was a 2-man best ball event. Joe Foligno was very proud to have a few winners play that tournament. And for me, winning it in 1975 was sort of one of the highlights of my junior golf career.
He was obviously very fond of the late Coach Chappa. He wanted to make sure that he was remembered for what he did for high school golf, for Staples High School. So it's a great tribute to a great man. Very, very fortunate to be able to carry that out.
You know, the other interesting thing about the tournament is, I'm sure somewhere there must be the records of the people that have played in this tournament. And you look at, there are golf pros now. Tom Rosati up at Great River up in Milford, he played in this tournament. J.J. Henry from Fairfield, he was at Fairfield High School, on the PGA Tour now. He's won tournament. So you've got some pretty big name golfers, pros, and touring PGA golfers that have played in the Chappa, that all these years later, that still has a special place for them.
This year, I was down again at the airport, I caught a fellow that looked very familiar, and it was J.J. Henry, and I just went up to him, I said, good luck to him and so forth. So we started talking about Westport, Fairfield. Of course, he comes from Fairfield, and so when I mentioned my name, he said, "Oh, Chappa." He said, "It sounds familiar." I said, "Yeah, you probably played. I know you played in my father's tournament." He said, "Yeah." He said, and he started laughing. He said, "It's one of my all-time favorite tournaments." He said, "I really enjoyed it when I was in high school playing the tournament." And so we laughed, and it was very kind of him to say that. Again, guy of his stature.
There was a player out on the course. I think the school was West Haven. And he was only able to see out of one eye. He wore sunglasses. And I happened to meet his mom later on in the day, and not making the connection, she was talking about her son who had been in a car accident, a serious car accident, and was rushed to the hospital. And ultimately, it was that car accident where he was hurt and ended up losing his eye and vision in one of his eyes. And apparently the mom said that when he woke up in the hospital the next day, he was upset because he lost the towel at the scene of the accident that he had received from the Chappa Tournament the previous year. So I guess when he had the accident, the only thing in the car to help mop up some of the blood was his clubs, which had the golf towel attached. So they took the golf towel off of the clubs, and they helped use the golf towel to control the bleeding, and they left it on the side of the road. When he woke up the next morning, the dad, having heard this, actually went back to the scene of the accident and picked up the towel. And when I realized the mom was talking about this one particular young man, and I saw him finish the day later, he actually had the Chappa towel on his bag. And I have to tell you, I had chills up my spine. You know, it just sort of, it's an example of how something like that could mean so much to a player that he went back and got the towel, and here it was again on his bag for the very next tournament. So the player means a lot, I think, to the kids who are picked to participate in it.
Well, that probably say, well, you know, name something else. You know, why the Chappa? You know, I really. He was very, very low key and not taking with himself, and he was not one to promote himself. So, of course, you know, he'd be delighted that two people they really liked and thought so much about, Joe Foligno and Frank Dornfeld, you know, that they would start something like that on his behalf.